Do you ever feel like you've got the energy to start something but not to finish it? Well, you're not lazy and you're not broken. This is actually an aspect of the will, the zhi, in Chinese medicine. If you've been procrastinating and you've been doubting yourself and you're really struggling to finish things and to complete tasks or to even have the drive and motivation to do that stuff, then this video is probably for you. I'm Hopkinson. I'm a herbalist and an acupuncturist here in Perth, Western Australia. I'm sitting in my clinic, Bespoke Medicine, right here. And I'm coming at you with the goodness of Chinese medicine. So on this channel, we make Chinese medicine fun and easy to understand and hopefully bring you some of the self-help value that the concepts of Chinese medicine has. And this particular series is on the spiritual resources, which are the components of the psyche, the mind, today the will, the emotions. They encompass all of that part, those aspects of who we are. And Chinese medicine attributes those to certain elements, which is a really cool thing because that gives us a way we can actually help it with diet, with acupressure or acupuncture. A herbalist or an acupuncturist can actually help with these things that seem esoteric, that seem a bit woo-woo and out there. Now you can go and do psychology and you can do counseling and you can do cognitive therapy, and I'm not against any of that stuff. It's a really great thing to be able to do. But there are some times where there's something physical going on in your body, and unfortunately just psychology doesn't really have the connection that Chinese medicine has with the physical body and the emotional body. So that's the spiritual resources. So in today's episode, this is a part of the 5th part of a 5-part series, particularly for women, on these spiritual resources. So men can watch this as well, but this is going to hone in on some aspects that women experience with the will. So if you've ever felt like you can see your goal clearly, you know what you want to do, but you're just not able to do it, it's hard to move towards that, even taking simple steps can just seem really arduous, then this video is going to hopefully unpack some of the secrets and help you along the journey of that. So in Chinese medicine, the name for this is will, or zhi. We're going to go through what the zhi is and talk about some of the ways that Chinese medicine can help you to improve your willpower. Now, some of scholarly thoughts on the zhi, on the will, come from firstly the Neijing, the oldest text that we have that is like a more comprehensive text. There are older texts in Chinese medicine, but this is one of the oldest. That's a comprehensive text to understand the fundamental nature of human beings. That's one of the ways of describing it. And so many systems and styles of Chinese medicine come out of this text called the Neijing. And then many scholars kind of talk about it and discuss ideas on it. Now, a text that's commonly used by Chinese medicine practitioners is called Shang by Elisa Rossi, and she has some great things to say about the will. So I'm going to use some of her quotes from her text, and we'll talk about that to help us understand what the will is and how we can improve it, how we can get better. So Rossi describes this will, or the zhi, as the part of us that gives us endurance, stability, and the power to follow through. So intrinsic to the kidney, the zhi and the jing are aspects of gathering, concentration, and from those things come like determination. You're no matter what, you're saying like, I'm going to do this no matter what. And that's kind of what sometimes is lacking, because like if you can say I'm going to do something no matter what, no matter the circumstances, that's whether we get the saying that comes from where there's a will, there's a way. You'll find that way. And when the way is not clear to us, and there's not that inkling or that determination in us that says no matter what, then it's hard to move forward because we don't see a way. So, sometimes I think of it like, you see those movies where someone's stuck in sort of a room where it all looks the same, and it's not until they touch a certain part of the wall that a door appears. And if a door was there, it would seem obvious, oh, I've got to open that door. It seems obvious that that's the way. Now, sometimes in life we are fortunate that that happens. But many times we're stuck in a room with 2 or 3 doors and we don't know which door to open. or finding the door can just seem so hard that we just think, oh, I've lost my energy, I've lost my will to go carry on with this. And for others, it can be a point of distraction, like too many doors, and we can get into things like thinking of ADHD or ADD and things like that. Whether or not you have any diagnosed condition, everyone struggles with this aspect of will, and we can all benefit in sort of, you know, improving it. Even me, even someone like me. So the jur is, so another way that Elisa Rossi puts this, and I like this little quote, so I'm just going to read that. She says, when one thinks of something, decides and acts, then this is called the jur. Okay, so you think of something, you decide, and then you act. And you think, and in a way, you decide on something, and that decision is that no matter what, that decision is like, I'm definitely going to do this. I'm doing this. It's not like I want to do this. It's gone beyond I want to do this. You've actually, there's something concrete about that. And that's where, you know, you will see people and you say, wow, they've got such strong willpower. And like you sometimes see this in little kids. If you look at toddlers and stuff that are learning to do things, and they're getting frustrated because they can't do something, and they kind of almost know it can be done, but they don't know how it's going to be done. And you see them like they've got, you know, those little blocks, and they're trying to put them in the hole or something, and the hole doesn't fit the block, and they haven't worked it out. They've got to turn it first, or, you know, something that we would see as an adult as simple. But think of yourself in that scenario. Like, I think of myself in a business sense. Like, there's stuff that seems obvious to me now because I've done it before. And it's the same as a kid with the block. Like, it's obvious to them 2 weeks later when they've done it before, but at the start you've never done it before. And like, there's got to be some aspect of like, I'm going to find a way. So I want to put that as part of this video. Like, having that jur strong means I'm going to find a way no matter what. And we have to kind of come to that resolve. And it depends on what the thing is, how hard that thing is, how important that thing is to you, as to, are you going to find a way to do this? So it firstly comes down to, what are you going to do, right? What do we want to do? Do we even know what we want to do? So rather than make this a real difficult, not difficult, but a long-winded video, we're going to assume that you know what you want to do. You might not know how you're going to do it, but you know you want that thing. And when I'm helping my patients with something, so it could be something like weight loss. That's a great example of a thing to use, because it's so universal, and especially for women. Not that men don't ever try to lose weight, they do, and I have plenty that come for that, but it's something that you've tried it before and it's been hard. Otherwise you wouldn't be here in my clinic asking me for help with that, or thinking in, you know, is there any other easier way or something that can help you, right? And like, sometimes the thing that's going to help you is actually really going to be really not complicated, but hard. And we just don't want to do that hard thing. Maybe it's not that we're lazy, but we just know it's going to be difficult. You're just not ready to sort of take that step and bite on into it, or you think it's going to be harder than it actually is. And there's a whole lot of complexity that can kind of go along with that. But a person that's really determined, that has that strong jur, will go, okay, this didn't work, and they don't give up. They go, that didn't work, I'll find something else. I'll find something else. Now, it doesn't mean that those things don't hurt when it didn't work out. It doesn't mean that they don't feel any emotion from those things that don't work out. It just means that they have that grit, that determination. Now, how do we get that? Okay, it sounds like we want it. So how do we kind of come about this? So the willpower, the jur, is located or associated with the water element, the kidneys, in Chinese medicine. And if we look at a cycle like the generating cycle of the 5 elements, that will tell us how we get more strong water, or what could deplete it. So the first thing, and also I've had a question on the channel about this video, because people know I'm doing this series, and someone has asked this question about, you know, are there acupressure points I can use to strengthen my willpower? Is it kidney points? So the answer is yes to that, but also there's other things we can do, right? So yes, we want to strengthen that water, but how do we strengthen that water? And how could have it gotten depleted in the first place? Now, these are going to be different for different people watching this. So you might have gone through certain circumstances that's been physically arduous to you or emotionally arduous to you, or, you know, both of those things, and different things can affect us in different ways. So let's look at the 5 elements, okay? So we're going to like put the elements up here on the thing so you can see wood, fire, earth, metal, and water in a circle. So we want water to be strong. And in order for water to be strong, the first thing to think of is that metal has to generate water. So what does that mean? It means that it relies on the strength of your lung energy. So a few things that we can do to help that is our breathing exercises, and meditation, and things that help to focus our breathing. So not just meditation, but things like Qigong and Tai Chi. These practices that generate a sense of breathing and stillness can both help the metal and the water element. So they're things that are free, okay? They just cost you your time. So they're not completely free, obviously there's a time cost there, but it's not something you have to pay a lot of money for. Now you can go to classes and learn about those things and do that if you want to, that's no issue. But these are practices that you can do on your own. You can do them by yourself. You can go to a class to learn these things or have a teacher teach you some of the stuff, but there are also things that we can just do on our own. So there's a whole massive amounts of breathing exercises and breathing methods, and I'm not going to endorse or disendorse any particular one of them. So you need to look into that for yourself and find out, is there something that I can do that's going to suit me, my budget, my time, all of that sort of thing. But just so that you know, actually Tai Chi and Qigong, these practices are physical practices, but they incorporate that stillness and that attention of the breath to areas of your body. In the Neijing, arguably one of the most correct translations for Qi, which we often translate in the West as energy, is actually air, gas, air, right? So when you're breathing and you do these breathing methods and you're directing that energy, like many breathing methods, regardless of Chinese medicine, get you to focus where that breath goes into certain areas of your body. Your breathing stops at your lungs. It doesn't go down into your feet and all this sort of stuff, but you can feel it. You can feel something happening when you're doing those practices. Well, that's qi, that's air, but that's your presence of mind on that qi, your focus on that qi. So even though that's not directly the kidneys, that's where I would start. One, because it's easier and it's freer, right? It's more accessible and it's a practice you can do every day. And when you do those things, it generates stillness, which helps the kidney heaps. Okay, the kidney energy or the water energy, it likes stillness, it likes focus, it likes, yes, it likes adventure and action and all that stuff as well, but it's benefited from the stillness, the pondering. So I'll give you some lifestyle things we can do to generate water, to help water. But also in our life, it's hard to find that stillness for most people, okay? There's sounds, there's noises, there's shit going on all the time. You can kind of never escape things. Ding, 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 phones, notifications, stuff like that. So if that's you and you find yourself easily bombarded by all these noises and these things and these potential distractions, then I would say start there. Start with the breathing exercises and generating stillness. Now, here are some other ways you can help to generate some stillness. Turn your phone off. Not on silent, just turn it off. You can turn it off. You can turn notifications off on your phone that are not things, and tell your loved ones, if you need me, call me. And then a call comes through rather than ding, 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 text, Johnny's had a baby, this has happened, that's happened. All, that's all nice to know, but it's just continuously your brain is kind of on all the time. So we need to have times in our day or week, start with your week if it's impossible to have that every day, where you have that stillness and you have that time, just a little bit of peace, 5 minutes of peace. being in nature for some people can be highly beneficial to do that, and being around water can also help. So other ways you could do this is having something in your house, in your space. Outside, it might be a bird bath where birds come and there's water there. It could be a waterfall thing, some kind of water feature. It could be just having even artificially the sounds of water. For many people, that can kind of relax you. Going for a walk where there's a river or a pond or a lake, that stuff is highly peaceful to us and helps us to connect to that water element. It might sound a bit woo-woo, but it's not woo-woo. It's just, you know, we forgot to connect with these things and in our busyness of life. Okay, so another aspect of the wheel is to practice staying with something even if it's uncomfortable. So this is hard because it's going to feel uncomfortable, especially if that's your mode of operation. Your modus operandus is to have lots of things on the go and nothing ever gets finished. Now, it's fine to have lots of things on the go if you do complete those things and you are a person that can, maybe that's your way of doing things. I'm very much against saying you have to do everything's the same for people. I'm one of these people, as soon as you tell me what to do, I'm like, no, not doing it like that. I'll do it my own way. I'll make my own way just to be stubborn, to prove you wrong. At least I know that about myself. So I fully understand that there's lots of different ways, but it's obviously not working for you if you've got a lot of stuff going on and you never finish anything. And this can be part of our personality type. So it may be a practice for you. Instead of doing something new that you want to do, you may just think, I'm going to actually, instead of doing something new, I'm actually just going to finish something. I'm going to allow myself to finish something today. So here's a couple of methods that I use to keep me on track with these things. One is, I will just have a list of projects that are on the go, okay? And these are things, so I've got them visually on a piece, and I'll stick them on the wall next to my office. The other room to this room I'm in now is my other office. You might have seen that on some of the live streams and stuff like that. And on the wall, I'll often have pieces of paper just stuck on the wall with a list on it. So it's visually there and it's reminding me, okay? For instance, there's videos that I've recorded for this channel that I have not even finished. I've just recorded them and they're sitting there on the hard drive, not been edited, nothing's happened to them. And they seem like a good idea at the time, but I just haven't had time to get around to it. So if that's something where you're like, oh, around to it, and you never get around to it. Now, this could be ideas and you've never even started them. That's different to things you've started, but you haven't finished it. Okay, that's also different to things where you've started something and you've stopped it for a good reason. That's okay. There's things that we do in life because of that. Maybe financially something stopped you and you had to stop, or there's things that life circumstances changed and you had to stop doing something for a reason. You chose to put something on hold. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about, like, there's lots of things that you haven't got finished. And if that's you, you'll know that that's you. Okay? So instead of, that person's tendency will be to start a new thing rather than finish the thing, because you probably get the benefit out of doing the starting. Now, you may need to get people in your life, if it's a business thing, to help you do the finishing, or to understand, do I really need to finish this thing? Is it something I want to spend more time on? And you decide it. So there's an aspect of this for the will that's determination and decision making. And you say, I'm going to do this thing. And again, I'm going to mention that again, no matter what. I'm going to do this thing no matter what. Now, if you're a sort of person that's got a lot of stuff going on, you may have just bitten off more than you can chew. And look, again, I love that idea. And then just think, don't put any limits on yourself. You can keep on going. But sometimes we do have to say, okay, maybe we need to not have so many projects, or have some boundaries there if that's what you need, to say no to some things so you can get the things done you need to get done, okay? Again, it's not a one size fits all for people, and I don't like these videos to be like, oh, Marie's telling me what to do again. Like, that's not what I'm trying to say here. So we want to get in a position to generate that will, okay? Generate that no matter what, generate that determination. Be a person that finishes something. So the second thing is to practice finishing something. Practice that. Use it as an opportunity to say, I'm going to practice finishing this thing, and see what that feels like, and sit in that moment and think, yes, I've accomplished something. I've finished this thing. And even if it's a step of a bigger thing, you've finished something, you've completed something. It's not just like, oh, all these things are on the go and they're never ending projects that never sort of end. So that's good, right? You might have things that need to be repaired in your house, and you're like, oh, I've got this box full of things to repair. So part of that finishing that job could be, right, I'm deciding I'm going to repair 2 of these things and the rest are going to go into the bin, or they're going to be donated, or something like that. That's fine. Like that's a sense of finishing that thing. You don't just have this ongoing thing that you never get around to doing. We want to put ourselves in a position to nourish that water through the breathing, so tonifying the metal to generate more water. Okay, we go back to the 5 elements, and we think about also that earth controls water. Now this is an important one, because this is where your diet comes into it. So if your diet is shoddy, it's not good. By not good and shoddy, I mean it's not in alignment with Chinese medicine. That's going to be triggering for a few people, but maybe not if you're this far along in the video. You probably love Chinese medicine. Then that's going to not set you up in a great place to have, because Earth's job is to control the water, and it can't do that job if it in itself is in disarray. Okay, so what's your diet need? What does your diet need to be? Warm, cooked and moist, not too much cold, dry and raw. It's more in depth than that. And if you want to learn more about that, there's a few ways you can do that. One is you can jump on a video that I've got called Why Eat Mostly Cooked Foods. And I've also got a number of videos about what does your spleen chi like. I think it's called Spleen Chi in 2022 or whatever. It doesn't really matter the year. I just make those titles to get people to click on the videos at the time. It's the same stuff for 2022 as it is for 2025, okay? There's evergreen things, right? So those videos could be helpful to you. I also have a course that I've just finished putting together, and when I put this video out, you'll be able to get access to the on-demand. It's a 3-part course. It's three lots of 3-hour lessons with a break in between. So it's, how I would teach at a university level on Chinese dietetics. And the first 3 parts is called Better Gut Health with Chinese medicine. And that will kind of teach you in depth, really in depth, with a step-by-step kind of process and a workbook and things like that, course notes, how to think about your digestive system in Chinese medicine. So if you're interested in that, then you want to click in the description. There's a little thing there. So that will support you and support the channel. I don't run ads on this thing normally and stuff like that. I don't, fill up the channel with random VPN ads and whatever else YouTubers are selling these days. But yeah, if you purchase that course, it's going to support the channel directly. It supports me and supports me to buy new equipment and all the rest of that stuff. But more importantly, it teaches you stuff that hopefully you're going to get a lot of benefit out of. So if you strengthen your earth element, that is in turn going to strengthen the ability of it to control, water. So for water to be functioning properly, it needs metal to generate it. It needs earth to control it. And so a big part of this can be diet, a big part. Now, if earth is deficient, not only can it not control the water, but it also can't generate metal, which then can't generate water. So you're not going to get into any detriment by making your diet more healthy. So I'll give you a few other tips for diet, okay, other than what's, this is all in the course and stuff, but, and in those other videos, some of it is in those other videos. So sugar and carbohydrates and excessive amounts of eating, overeating, being overweight, craving certain foods, having food, having no control over food, stuff like that can easily make the earth deficient. But also the earth, a person who's really thin, who's really unable to put on weight or unable to sort of generate and build the earth, which is the muscle strength of your body, that's also detrimental as well. How can we tell the health of our earth element? 2 ways. The first way is your bowels, like your poo. So it should be once a day, easy to come out, properly formed. That's perfect. Bowel movements. If it's not that and there's something else going on, it's either diarrhea or loose, or it's constipated, it's hard to come out, there's pain with going, it's incomplete is a really common one, where you go and then sort of half an hour later you feel, oh, I could go again, or you go and you just don't feel satisfied that it's all come out. It just feels like there's a bit more there, or it's sticky, like that means there's a lot of wiping. So any of those things means your earth element, where it starts in your stomach and goes down to the end, is not working properly. It's not working as it should be. And that means your absorption of foods probably isn't as good as it will be if you can improve that digestive health. So that's a big one. Okay, now there's other acupuncture points that we can use, and I'm going to give you a little sort of prescription of acupuncture points that you can use with acupressure. That means pressing the points. I'm not suggesting you do your own acupuncture with the needles. Go and see an acupuncturist, and they'll be able to help you with a proper treatment based on what your body needs and your pulse and all the rest of it. But these things you can use as acupressure points. Now, one of the points, and this little combo comes from a book called Acupuncture Point Combinations by Jeremy Ross. I was looking for the book, it's over there. I can't be bothered walking over there and getting the book because I know it myself. One of the little acupuncture point combinations he uses to strengthen the kidney energy contains the point stomach 36. So I'm going to give you some points here that you can use with acupressure. So the first one's stomach 36, and that's on your leg. You're going to have to look up where these points are in a chart, in other videos, in a booklet or something like that. So the other points is kidney 1, which is on the sole of your foot. Now this isn't a foot, but the sole of your foot's sort of in the middle. So what you can do is you can sit on the couch when you're watching TV, and you can just press these points, and you get something like the back. This is my Apple pencil, and you just push that into the point. So the back of a pan that's sort of a bit of a rounded edge, and you just use that as a little device to push into the points. So that's 2/3 of the distance of the top of the foot down. I'll put a little picture up here of the kidney, where the kidney 1 is, on the sole of your foot. And then you just can rub up the kidney channel on the ankle, and that is very close and around the bone. And kidney 7 is another point that's used. So it won't matter if you just rub all around that area. So kidney 3, kidney 4, kidney 7, they're all common points around that area. And I'm just going to put that picture up here so you can see that. In cahoots with the stomach 36. And then the other point that you want to use is called Ren 4 or Guan Yuan. And this is a point that helps to tonify the source of the energy. And this point is on your umbilicus, under your umbilicus. So I'm going to show you on me. I'm going to try and show you just roughly on me. So that's where my umbilicus is, my belly button. So you want to take your own hand and put that hand underneath there. And at the bottom of that space, there's going to be a point there. Now you can either press that point, so I can press and massage, press into it. You can use like a patting sort of a method. You can rub on there. So you can do that rubbing method. You can also use different moxibustion things on that point if you know how to use moxa. Your practitioner has taught you. You already learned how to do moxa from your practitioner, then you could do the Guan Yuan Ren 4 with moxibustion. If you don't know how to use moxa, then make sure you get a practitioner properly train you how to use it before you do it on yourself. Okay, I'm not suggesting that you go and do moxa on it yourself without proper training. Yeah, okay, so another aspect of the willpower in Chinese medicine being linked to the water element, is part of it is not just that sheer force of like, that grit. Now I did say you've got some of that, you've got this no matter what, there's a drive, there's an understanding there. But part of that has to be in cahoots with movement, right? Being in the flow. And originally, Chinese medicine practitioners, I'm talking Han Dynasty originally, and possibly after that as well, would have been trained in a thing called Taoism. Most practitioners would understand the Tao, which talks about the way, the understanding of life, the understanding of that there's a flow, and that this is where, like, I don't want to get too spooky or spiritual. It doesn't really matter what you believe, whether you believe that or not. It's not a religion. It's more like a philosophy. Okay. There are some things that are just completely out of our control, and you decide, I'm going to do this, and you have that resilience. You have that no matter what. But then something happens that's out of your control, and like I said, you might have decided, I'm going to do a course, and then something happened that was a lovely thing that happened, but it was out of your control, and now that's directed you to a different way, a different path, or made you put that thing on hold, but it is something you still really want to do. Or it's meant that there's some kind of obstacle in the way of getting to that thing. It might have been something great that happened that could become the obstacle. But nevertheless, you have to sort of be flexible with the way that you get to that thing, with the decisions that you make, with the choices that you make. There's an aspect of water being fluid. It is fluid, right? That's what water is. It's not static. It's not stationary. It can be still and stationary, but it's fluid. It can move. And this idea of being able to flex and bend and still have that determination. So I'm not saying you let go of that and just I'm not saying wispy waspy, like, oh, well, whatever happens, the sands of time, the winds of change. Like, I'll just whisper around and not have any purpose. No, I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying you still have that purpose, you still have that drive, but that flexibility of water allows us to go, okay, well, this has changed. I can change. I don't have to get angry about it. I don't have to get frustrated about it. And then it doesn't cause us that detriment, because like getting angry and frustrated about things isn't great. Like, it causes us a detriment. Now, there's a season for that. There's a time for that. Sometimes stuff happens where you're like, I'm getting angry.
George is getting upset.
Or just getting angry. You've just gotta, that anger can move us into a new space. And that's a wood thing. But we're talking about water things here. So sometimes if that's you and you find, Marie, I am determined, but it's not my fault that all these things change, and you may have just not being able to go with the flow is a lack of water, okay? Because water nourishes wood, which helps us to have that flexibility in the determination. So these things are like housed by one area. We'll say it's housed by that area in Chinese medicine, but they're also utilizing all of the elements to make these things happen, right? As in to make your goals happen, to actually act on those things. You need all of that stuff. So the water, be reminded of that. Just let that be something that you think about. If that's you and you've been frustrated in the past, and you think, oh, this has just been so hard, and every time I try this thing, I'm just beset by roadblocks, beset by things that you can't control. It sounds like a cliche, but it is true about being in the flow. When you're in the flow, you can kind of go with the flow, but you also know, this is sounding like a poem, you also know what you really, really want, what's important to you, and you can kind of be going with the flow, but not at the whims of, the whims of the mercy of the world, whatever's happening. There's a difference between those two things. So hopefully this video has been somewhat helpful to you as a person navigating these things. When the will is weak, when the jur is weak, you might be full of ideas. You've got lots of ideas and lots of things you want to do. That might not be that's obviously not the problem here. It's executing on those things, or knowing, having that determination and that concentration of energy. And that's what the water element brings to us. It's the place where Jing, or essence, is stored as well. And it represents to us the storage and that concentration of like the purest of the pure energy. That's kind of like this, like your focus is kind of a thing where you can concentrate that and really get this thing done. If we shut out all other distractions, we can really get this thing done, and we can kind of get on task and get that done. And sometimes enacting the will is clearing out those distractions and saying, no matter what, no matter if the phone rings, no matter if this happens, no matter if that happens, this is so important to me that I'm going to get this done. I'm going to get this job finished. And that may entail you persevering and pushing through no matter what in that way. It may entail you doing that, and then when you come to a roadblock happens and you think, well, but I planned all this, I planned to do all these things that you said, Marie, and I got rid of all the distractions, and then something else happened and I couldn't do that. But so we've got the flexibility of water to go, okay, I do need to divert my attention over here, and that is important, because part of the will is knowing what you really want in your whole life and what I want in this moment right now. So then it can help me make a decision, a focused decision on what am I going to do with this hour of my life right now, because that's a piece of the bigger puzzle. That's a piece of what I'm getting accomplished this month. That's a piece of what I'm accomplishing for this year and my life. And I think that's part of a deeper, maybe a different video even, of understanding our place in our own life and our place within the world. And when we understand that, having the will to do the things we need to do becomes a whole bunch easier just from that perspective. So we can definitely use the strategies that I've talked about to generate more of a stronger water element. And when that water element's strong, it's in the best position possible to nourish, to generate, and to house that jur. So what are those things? Just to recap: stillness, moments of reflection, potentially meditation, being near water, allowing yourself to have that nourishment of stillness. It might mean removing distractions. It might mean going for a walk. It might mean turning off the noise in your headphones, off the podcasts, off those things, not this podcast, off the other distractions, and having that moment of concentration and stillness. Okay. Practice finishing something. Pick something that you haven't finished that you're just going to finish, and practice finishing that thing. You're going to finish that thing. We strengthen metal in order to generate water. So that could be breathing exercises, things that focus on your breath. And, that could be in cahoots with the stillness practices, or it could just be breathing exercises on its own. It could be Tai Chi or Kung Fu or something like that helps you strengthen those things. It could be the Wim Hof breathing method. It could be, there's millions of other breathing methods, right? Heaps of other things you could do. Then we can also think about our diet and how to make earth strong so that it's in the best position to control water, or earth to generate metal that then generates water. Okay, acupuncture points that we can use to press. The kidney channel in general can be used. Okay, so you can just do the whole kidney channel if you want to. But on the sole of the foot, you've got kidney 1, you've got kidney 7. And then we can kind of trace the line of the channel between kidney 1 and kidney 7. So kidney 7 is probably the most important point here in terms of, I'm not going to go into why it's used, but it's kind of part of how it's used. Kidney 7 and kidney 1. And then we've also got Ren 4 and stomach 36. So those kinds of, that little combination of points could be used. You can do alternating legs with these things, and doing acupressure with this stuff to kind of help to strengthen the consolidation of the kidneys. If you do have a proper kidney deficiency, a TCM kidney deficiency, say kidney yin deficiency or kidney yang deficiency, or you have any of these symptoms, right, where you feel so tired you've got to lie down in a day, you're really short of breath, and you've got asthma, or you've got some kind of chronic lung thing, that means your metal element's fairly weak and it's not able to sort of generate the water. What else? the tiredness aspect of not being able to exercise and just feeling so tired you've got to lie down in the day, or that's where it's going, and you feel like that's happening a bit more than it should be or than it was before, then these are places where I would go and see either an acupuncturist or a herbalist. Particularly a classical Chinese herbalist is going to be in the best position to help your body warm the function, warm the yang, tonify the yang. And that in itself is a game changer for that water element. So something to just remember, this is all self-care and self-help, and it's not going to hurt you to do these things, but is that enough to actually enact a real change? Now, for the kidney to get deficient, it's not the first organ that gets deficient, okay? As in, the water element is not the first element to be affected by things. So if you really do have a water element deficiency or kidney deficiency, the chances are you've got some kind of chronic issue going on physically that needs a physical treatment as such, with acupuncture or with herbs. And even more so, herbs than acupuncture is going to be needed, because you need substance to build that yang back up again. Now, the things I've just talked about are going to be great to do, and maybe you are seeing a herbalist or an acupuncturist already, and that's great that you're doing that. So keep doing that, and then do these things on top of that, and maybe that's going to increase the effects of what's happening. But what I'm saying is, when things are already established as a pattern of disharmony, it's been there for months, years or more, it's very hard to treat it by itself with self-help. Now, you may find some improvements happen, but it might not be able to rectify, or resolve unless you really, really apply continual herbs and, acupuncture and herbs. So one of the great things about herbs versus acupuncture for this sort of stuff is, once you're on a formula that's working for you, it's like, I would call it your constitutional formula. It's, unless lots of stuff changes. Now, the weather changes, the seasons change, yes, stuff happens. But in general, you'd probably be on a formula that's working for you, and you'll incrementally get better and better. Certainly if you see a classical Chinese herbalist, that's kind of what will happen. Because the longer you stay on some herbs, not all formulas, some formulas are only meant for a few days, right? But the longer you stay on yang tonic type of herbs, the more it starts to repair the inside of your body, like your gut health and your absorption and stuff like that. And then that in turn will kind of help your body to absorb the nutrients from the food you're eating, and then that's helping you to generate the yang. Another way that this is a big factor that this is affected by is sleep. So if your sleep isn't great, then your body can't repair, it can't restore as best as it could be doing if it was having better sleep. So your sleep and your digestion are two ways that often practitioners like myself will work on that, on that functional aspect, to get your yang stronger, your function stronger, so that then it can repair itself. So if you're not seeing a practitioner and you want a recommendation for someone, I can do my best to find someone who does what I do. People send me emails all the time about that. And if you want to consult with me, I do telehealth for people. But if I know someone who does my system of herbs that's near you, I'll just refer you to them, because feeling the pulse is so much more accurate than going about by telehealth. But I do help patients all over the world. I've got people in all kinds of countries that see me for Chinese medicine, as well as Perth. So if you're here in Perth, come and see me in Perth. But this video wasn't a promo for that. This video is like trying to explain to you, okay, this is the where self-help kind of hits that limit, and you might do these things and think, well, nothing's changed. Well, that's maybe the reason why nothing's changed, because if you really have that deficiency there, it's going to be hard for, like, it actually just might take more time for those changes to happen. Whereas if you went onto more of a structured treatment where we could strengthen that water, it might be quicker than trying to go it alone by just doing, say for instance, diet or breathing exercises. Anyway, this has been a longer video than I thought it would be, but I'm glad we've gotten through it, and I really want to encourage you to do some of these things, because it's so fulfilling to have that will strong, right? It's a fulfilling thing to have a sense of like accomplishment, a sense of purpose. I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing in the world, and I really love you know, talking about this sort of stuff, because it's, yeah, such a great way that Chinese medicine sees the body in terms of, here's your physical, here's your emotional. And, you know, for some people, they've banged on and on and on with cognitive stuff, like, you know, seeing therapists and practitioners and stuff like that, that are helping them with their mental stuff. And that's all great. But they've also got this deficiency of this physical aspect, their water element. And if that isn't addressed, you know, your mind is sort of at the mercy of the physical structure that it's sitting on. So your body might just still feel tired. And that's a big aspect of will. Like, you're just too tired to do it. You're just too deficient to do it. You feel worse from doing things. So I hope that's not you. And I, you know, only wish the best for people, obviously. So maybe we just do that ending again. So I hope that's not where you're at, but if you are at, just know. So I hope that's not where you're at, but if you are in that place, know that there's an aspect of herbs and acupuncture that can kind of help strengthen that water element that's so intrinsic to energy and how you feel, and tiredness and things like that. Awesome. All right, well, I hope you've enjoyed the video, and if you have, like and subscribe, all those good things, and we'll see you again on another episode soon. All right. Hang on, someone's at my door. All right, got unexpectedly sidetracked by the exciting parcel. Didn't know it was coming today.